Toronto.
There will be no white flag above my door. I'm in love and always will be.
It wouldn't be Minnesota sports without a little white flag from Dido. First game in the books, Western Conference semifinals. Gary Anderson wide right. Wolves a wild lose 9-6. Wolves begin their semifinal series. They take on the San Antonio Spurs tonight. The Twins, they win, but they lose Joe Ryan. The Frost 1-0 in the playoffs. With all of those topics to get to, I'm not sure where to start, so let's spin the wheel of topic.
Wheel of Topics! 3M Open breaking news.
Well, there's breaking news from the 3M Open to be played later this summer. And to tell us all about it is Hollis Cavner. Hollis with Pro Links, who runs the tournament for us each and every year. Hollis, how are you, me boy?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Common?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for joining us today. Big news today for the 3M Open.
Yeah, it was a big day. This was it's fabulous getting Scotty to come and play. I'll be honest with you. This is something we've been working on for several years now, quite honestly. And we thought we had him a year ago, quite honestly. And he's it takes time to court these guys. I'll be honest with you. They just don't come and play. And he had heard a lot of good things about up here, and a lot of his friends have played up here. And so that helps us a lot. When, the way 3M treats everybody when they're here, and the families get treated and stuff. He had heard all about it, and that definitely interests Scotty. He cares, he wants his family and everybody to be taken care of, and them to have a lot of fun when they're on site. So, and he had heard from a bunch of different players how good all the big cookouts and all the other stuff that we do, and a lot of fun we have here. So, it was exciting to get it. The hardest part about all this was me keeping this secret for the last month.
Right. Yeah. Well, I understand that because he sells tickets. He's the number one player.
No doubt about it. I mean, our phone's already it lit up from the minute we did it. I mean, it's just so sales have already started. We knew going in that Scotty's he's one of the very few guys in golf that moves the needle, and he's number one in the world. Everybody's excited about him coming. So, but that it definitely shows that the 3M Open has made it as an event. Well, when you get the world number one to come play, it's big time. And we've got some other big names. Quite honestly, this is going to be a good year for us. We have some other really big names that we'll be announcing before too long. Also, so he's just the first in the list of the. Of course, he's the biggest. But we have some other really, really strong announcements that we'll be making over the next month and a half.
Well, what we were told, that you were going to come on with me. I learned about this on Friday, and the news hadn't broke yet. So there was plenty of speculation, and one of it was, the speculation I was having with a couple of people. It's got to be one of the big names, either Scotty or Rory. Are you working on Rory? Do we think we can get him one of these days?
We've been close with Rory a couple of times actually. Rory goes and plays at Scottish. He goes over a week early and goes over and plays,
right.
Stays and he's got his kind of schedule. But he's definitely on our hit list of who we want to have. I think he's got a relationship there in the Twin Cities with United already. So I think at some point we'll get it done. Especially as the schedule starts to change and things start to open up a little more. I think you're going to see a lot. I feel like we're in a good spot at 3M Open. I can tell you that going forward.
Yeah. Well, so you were able to find a tee time for Scotty when he agreed. You were able to find a spot for him.
Well, one of the things he made me promise is he would not have to play with you.
Yeah.
He said, don't make me play with him in the Pro-Am. I've heard about it from other people. I can't take it.
Yeah, your dear friend and in my loop. Well, I was the loop for Arnie. I got to caddy for Arnie back at one of his last appearances at the 3M Open, and I think after about 3 or 4 holes, I think Arnie had enough of me as well. So always.
Well,
Always good to hear from you, Hollis, and we appreciate you coming on with us and breaking the news that Scotty Scheffler, world number one, will be playing at the 3M Open this year. We'll have you on again sometime soon, especially when we get out to the 3M Open.
All right, Stan, look forward to it, and take care. And if you need anything, call me, buddy.
You know I will. Thanks, Hollis. Appreciate that.
Thanks.
You bet. Hollis Cavner on the Connecticut Water Systems Hotline. Tennessee, Scotty Scheffler showing up. Pretty big news.
That's huge news.
Yeah, I mean, number one player in the world. They have to twist the arms of these best players because, they kind of pick and choose where they want to play. And it's like right after the Open Championship. So, you got to twist a few.
I was going to say, how do they secure? Are they throwing extra cash on the side?
Well, I don't think they do have appearance fees anymore. I don't think, that I'm aware of. I don't think they do that. I think it's just, Hollis is pretty persuasive. Hollis has been around. He was best friends with Arnold Palmer for years. Hollis started with ESPN, just like running cables for the golf broadcast and all the other sporting events. He was a grip. And then all of a sudden, he says he met Arnie while he was working at ESPN, and Arnie took a liking to him, and they became fast friends. And the next thing Hollis worked his way up. He runs I think it might be upwards of 4 to 6 tournaments. A couple of the legends, the old guys tournaments, and then he runs a few of the regular tours. So so sweet. Really nice to see Scotty Scheffler there. I wish Scotty could play goal. Well, I don't think it's necessarily the goaltender's fault. That was like a pinball machine last night, Tennessee. That game, I think I saw the numbers. It's was it the highest scoring? No, one of the highest scoring games. I don't have the exact number in front of me. But 9-6. I mean, sometimes you can play an entire 7-game series and not have a grand total of 15 goals, much less in one game. So we'll do that. We'll talk a little. We'll talk a little while. I want to get the Jolly Green Giants' take on what happened. Also, we do have the the Worlds to talk about. They start tonight. That and so much more here on the Common Man program on the Fan.
The Fan and BigDeck.com wants to give you a shot to win bonus bucks with their national cash contest. Enter the keyword grand at KFAN.com now for a shot at winning. That keyword is grand. Enter now at KFAN.com.
No. The Fan.
KFAN welcomes some great shows to Target Field this year. Tim McGraw will be there August 23rd, and My Chemical Romance on August 24th. Get the complete details on all of our upcoming shows on the concert page at KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
Whiff of the Wild, and it doesn't smell so good right now. Whiff of the Wild brought to you by our friends at Affordable Electric, your old home specialist. May is Electrical Safety Month, and Affordable Electric wants to remind you safety starts at home or your business. Their licensed electricians are ready to help you with safety inspections, surge protection, panel upgrades, and more. Even small issues can lead to big problems. Whether your space is old or new, Affordable Electric will make sure your electrical system is safe, efficient, and up to code. 612-331-VOLT or visit affordable-electric.com to schedule your service today. Affordable-electric.com. Affordable Electric is shockingly affordable. It's going to be wild to lose the opener 9-6. If you blinked, you missed 15 goals. It was 3-0. Faster than you can say. Shoot. Quote from Matt Zuccarello. I don't think we've done that all year, but they came out strong. It was 9-6, but we're 1 goal back with 3 minutes left. So even though we played bad defensively, we still stayed in it until the end. But for sure, I think we all were not happy about letting in so many goals. We have to help Wally. We have to help out Wally. Not good enough. Let me ask the Jolly Green Giant. Defensively, they weren't real good, but both of those teams, they're both really good offensively. It wasn't, I don't think, just bad. Sometimes if an offense is pinpoint with their passing and their precision, I thought I saw plenty of that last night from both teams. Entertaining, I guess. You know me. I don't like 51-49 in football, and I'm not much of a 9-6 guy in hockey, and I don't think we'll see that again anytime soon. But I think it was both teams left a little bit to be desired, but both teams, I thought, offensively, I thought there were some good goals, or did I see the wrong game?
I mean, definitely on Colorado's end of it, right? Like when you give up 9 goals and one was an empty netter, but when Wally gives up 8 goals, you typically think, man, you got some bad goaltending in that game.
Right.
And while I can't say he was good because he gave up 8 goals, some of those are just seeing eye bar down shots that I think are scoring on basically every goalie in the
Correct.
NHL. I mean, the skill level Colorado had specifically on some of their goals. Now, was there some issues in front of Wally that could get cleaned up? Yes. But I don't leave that game going, God, we got some awful goaltending. What are we going to do about that moving forward? I know, I'm sure we'll talk about it. Everyone's trying to make a goaltending controversy out of it now. Wally was fine.
Yeah.
As weird as that is to say, he gave up 8 goals. Now, is fine going to beat the Colorado Avalanche? No. You need great goaltending against Colorado. They are that good of a team. They are that good of an offensive team. Just there's always more open ice, and the Wild benefited from too offensively, right? I mean, it's a different pace, it's a different style of game than what you saw in the previous playoff series. That's just the way Colorado plays. They're up and down, and I think the Wild are going to learn here quickly that trying to do the track meet with Colorado is not going to be a winning formula.
Yeah, the stat I think I heard, both teams I think are in the top 5 defensively, and is Colorado's penalty kill the best in hockey? I thought I heard that too, and maybe I'm wrong. But we were 0-3 on penalty?
We did not, on our power play, we did not score.
Yeah, we were 0-3 and they were 1-4.
They had 1, but they basically had 2 because one scored right after the guy got out of the box, but it was still 5-on-4 in the zone. But it was also a puck luck goal.
That other note I was talking about in the first segment was the 15 total goals tied for 5th in history in a Stanley Cup playoff game. So that's the 5th most. I mean, I can't imagine 4 other games having more than 15 goals. It was, and when it was 3-0, I mean, I was basically, because, I know no lead is safe. 2-0, a 2-0 lead is the most dangerous lead in all of sports, right? But when it's 3-0 and had the Wild even had a shot on goal, but by the time they scored 3 goals, it didn't seem like it. I mean, it was tilted the other way. Yeah, it was a couple, but I know I'm exaggerating, but I mean, it didn't seem like they had many. It was tilted the other way, and then you start going through the old, well, is it the altitude? Is it they're tuckered and the Avalanche are rested because they swept. They're 5-0 now in the playoffs. They swept whoever I don't remember who they played, but they swept
the
them, Kings. They swept them 4-0. They're at home. Circadian rhythms, body clocks, time zone changes, sleeping in your own bed. And again, I'm not really looking for moral victories, but to rally. They took the lead at 1.54.
Well, yeah, Foligno scores shorthanded to go up 5-4. And you think that just the entire series just changed right here.
That's what I thought.
Unfortunately, Colorado responded pretty quickly.
Yeah, and so, it was. I think in the playoffs, I always expect a little bit, less scoring just because everybody's playing. You're dialed in defensively, right?
Yeah.
And it was just it caught me off guard. I don't know about you to have that kind of a game in game 1.
Well, I mean, there's a combination of factors for them to get to 9 goals. 1, Colorado's as good offensively as any team in the league. 2, the Wild are without their best defensive forward in Joel Eriksson-Ek, and they're without their second best defensive defenseman in Jonas Brodin, who. This is the kind of matchup you need a Brodin in because Colorado is a faster team, and that was Brodin's strength. He can skate. Brodin would have been a bigger factor in this series than he would have been against the Dallas series. And then when you combine just the lack of details and focus on some of this stuff that was very uncharacteristic, where like Brock Faber had an awful pinch that was very unlike him that led to a 2-on-1 goal for Colorado. Kirill Kaprizov not picking up Makar off a face-off. I mean, that's just that's squirt peewee hockey here. Jake Middleton in the first period had to have turned the puck over like four or five times and just right on Avalanche's stick, and one led to a goal. The good news is some of this now replacing Eric Sunek and Brodin, not really possible unless they were to make a miraculous comeback.
And they're both good defensively, correct?
Yeah, I just talked about that.
Yeah.
They're elite defensively.
Elite? Okay.
Now I forgot where I was going with that. But I was going to say that they have some things that you can clean up. I mean, both Makar goals, like I said, Kaprizov didn't pick up on a faceoff. Boldy, I thought, misplayed how he went out to defend him. The Middleton turnovers, like that's pretty uncharacteristic for him. So I'd like to think that he'd be better in game two. So some of that stuff is fixable, but I would also say Colorado's saying the same thing, right? They were leaky defensively, and right now they're going, some of the stuff on the Tarasenko goal, like they got out of position in the neutral zone. So they're saying the same thing. But there's going to be games here where this isn't the last high-scoring game. I'm not saying they're all going to be high-scoring. I'd like to think the Wild are going to be a better checking team in game two. But there's going to be another 5-4 game in this series. It's going to happen.
Here's what was in the Athletic today. It says, from Colorado's perspective, the game was a drastic turn from the low-scoring Kings first-round series. Colorado loved its checking game in that series. The Wild made it much harder to effectively defend in game one. But the Avs, in turn, showed Sunday just how much scoring depth they have. They got goals from 8 players and points from 13, including Rosen's favorite player, Toes. So they've got some depth. Both teams do. But, yeah, I now know why they're the number 1 seed.
They're good.
Yeah, they're really good. And I'm with you. Again, because if the Wild were to replace their goaltender, well, then Denver might, or Colorado might want to do the same thing because they gave up a lot of goals. But yeah, I think you summed it up exactly right. Is there 1 or 2 you could take back? Sure, but that was just an onslaught of offense and as Zuccarello said in that opening quote I had from him, they could have done a little bit better defensively and helped Wally out a little bit.
We need to slow them up in the neutral zone a little bit. They're just gangbusters in the rush, and some of that is turning the puck over as well. So need better puck management, and then force, like I'll use basketball terms, right? Like, the Wolves, when they have Io and Bones, they want to play fast and get up the court and play. We need to turn Colorado into like a half court team as opposed to letting them get out on the run, or out on the break.
They play tomorrow, 7:00, and then they don't play till Saturday?
Yes.
Is that some scheduling conflicts here or there, or is that just the way that works? Because that's quite this.
It is odd.
It is odd because that's Wednesday, Thursday, that's 3 days off. You'll hear that game on the radio station tomorrow. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Whiff of the Wild brought to you by Affordable Electric for all of your electrical needs during Electrical Safety Month, the month of May. Go to affordable-electric.com. That's affordable-electric.com. Shockingly affordable.
Bonus Box is back on KFAN. We have 9 chances for you to win $1,000 every weekday. That's every hour from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. To enter the keywords and learn more, head to KFAN.com. Bonus Bucks is presented by BigDeck.com.
Double 13-14 pass. I'm Common. He is Tenebee. We are Hill. And I wish they would leave the sports to the professionals. This one says, Common, it's not Toes, it's pronounced Taves. Leave the hockey pronunciations.
It's like, hello.
I always love that
the
one.
Professionals. This is negative. Jolly Green Giants Wild can book their tee times for after Game 4 if they want to keep playing wide open against the Avs. They are fastest and best team in transition in the NHL. You need to set up a neutral zone trap and force them into half-court offense. Not sure why they thought this style would work. This might be a Brink series to replace one of Wild's many slow forwards. Do you think it's a Brink series, Tenneby, and replace one of their slow forwards?
Do I think Brink could get in the lineup? Yeah, I don't. Calling it a Brink series, as in like all of our ills are going to be cured by Bobby Brink going in the lineup. Yeah, I mean, Tarasenko scored a big goal last night, so if you're looking for a slow forward to replace, like you're not taking Tarasenko out, and Urov entered the lineup for Joel Eriksson Ek, and he played fine, and he can skate. And your two Felinos were on the ice for a shorthanded goal. So I don't know if there's necessarily a spot for Brink yet. Because you bring in Brink for offense. Offense was not the issue. Their issue was their ability to defend.
Yeah. The Athletic did another piece that the headline says, Wild stand by Wallstedt after 8-goal game. He is going to bounce back. They say 8 because obviously the last, I guess, even though I've lived in Minnesota my entire life and I don't know what offsides is in hockey, if it's an empty netter, does that goalie still get that goal charged against him? Okay, I didn't think so, but
you do get the minus and the plus minus column if you're a skater. But no, the goal doesn't go against Wallstedt.
Athletic
34 saves, 8 goals against.
The Wild seemed to give up more rush chances in one game than the entire Star series. They allowed 7 5-on-5 goals after holding Dallas to 4 in 6 games. Did Hines consider pulling Wallstedt? Didn't sound like he did from what he said after the game, though they weren't easy to decipher. I thought Wally played, look, what the score was. We can say it was 9, but they got an empty netter and their guy was in for a lot of goals against. I don't think you as bad as it was, and it wasn't, even the story says, a lot of it was defensively, but you can't absolve Wallstedt from all the goals. There's even quotes from Wallstedt here. It says, where I got to be better. But everybody, how do I say it? Let's say you have your star pitcher. Let's say, now this is a real stretch, Tenneby, because the Twins aren't a playoff caliber team, but let's say Joe Ryan's got an elbow problem, but let's say Joe Ryan has a bad outing. Well, you're not going to pass him up in the next spot in the rotation, right? On his next turn in the rotation, to let him go. One bad game in the nets, I think, if it were to happen again, then I think you got to seriously consider Gus Bus, but I wouldn't expect a change in goaltending, would you?
Ultimately, I think this is one of those things where coaches are seeing how Wallstedt reacts.
Okay.
Today, my guess is he stays in. And let's go to the first part. Should he have gotten pulled last night? There really wasn't ever a great time to pull him because the Wild were in the game for a good chunk of the time. They even came back and had a 5-4 lead. So when it goes 5-5, you're going to pull them at that point in a tie game. And by the time you get to the third period, you get down 7-5. Are you really doing anything by pulling them with half a third period left? Just the way the game transpired, I get why and like I said, none of the goals were necessarily his fault. They were all great goals by Colorado and breakdowns by the players in front of him. So if there was anyone that I think Wallstedt would like to have, maybe the Kadri one in the third period. But they were all just phenomenal shots, phenomenal plays by Colorado, defensive breakdown. So he didn't play poorly. And just the way the game was going and that your team's in the game, it doesn't really make sense to pull them when like I said, when it's 5-5, it doesn't really make sense to pull a goalie when you're tied. For the next part, though, I get we have 2 quality goalies, so now it's, one goalie got rocked, let's move on to Gus, might be how some people view it. Gus hasn't played in 2 weeks, and when we last saw him playing, he wasn't playing well. So you might think there's risk in throwing Wallstedt back out there, but there's just as much risk in throwing a goalie that didn't have a lot of confidence going into the playoffs, and he's going to be probably rusty. Now, if you feel like Wallsted's never really taken, right, like Volstead's been going basically like every other day. He's playing every game. He hasn't gone through a stretch like this in the NHL. If you feel like he's getting tuckered or tired, or if the coaches see something that we just can't see, like mentally, if he's not reacting well today, then yeah, I could see maybe see. But my guess is Volstead's the reason you are here right now.
Correct.
He didn't play bad enough to get pulled. I'd give him another shot and say, let's see how you react to that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes goalies or just players in general, when you have a really bad game, they come out well the next game. They come out even more motivated. Now, if he struggles in the first period, then yes, I'd be more willing to have a quick hook on him while the game's going on. But I'd go, assuming mentally Volstead's all good behind the scenes, which I don't know, I'd go back to Volstead.
Yeah. Well, because if you do pull him, right, and play Gus, I guess they know him better than you and I do. Does that psychologically make them, they don't believe in me anymore? Then all of a sudden it makes, when you go in the next time, especially let's say Gus gets blitzed in game 2, now it's game 3, you go back to Volstead, and all of a sudden, this is basically showing, hey, it was a bad game for everybody. Defensively, goaltending, let's just move on. I tend to agree.
I'm more concerned with what was out in front of Volstead than I am with Volstead.
So Russo, I'm sure you read his piece. He writes, when an extra day in full practice Sunday made the Wild look more adequate defensively than they did in game 1, Hines said, I don't think so, during a terse post-game news conference. Yet in the same breath, Hines agreed. He said, I think it's all about wrapping your head around the series and understanding the differences between Colorado and Dallas. Our team always responds the right way. I think if we went out there for 30 to 35-minute practice, it wouldn't make 1 ounce of difference on this. It's about the mindset and understanding the difference between the two series and making sure you have the energy and the juice to be able to play. Now, in saying that, we have the energy and the juice to play tonight. The details that we need to have against this team aren't as strong as they needed to be. And then what Russo follows up with, that's the point. Dallas isn't Colorado. The Stars aren't nearly as good as at even strength. The Wild held them to 4 goals at 5-on-5 in 6 games, while the Avs scored 7 times on 5-on-5 Sunday alone. Generated 32 scoring chances, 16
chances,
16 high danger chances. This is all according to Natural Stat Trick.
Yeah.
They flew unencumbered through the neutral zone and had blinding rush after rush after rush. 32 scoring chances. That's astonishing, right?
That's a lot.
What is
that might have been what Dallas had the entire series.
What I'd never heard this stat before. Of course, I'm not paying as close attention to the NHL in general and the Wild specifically. What's a high danger chance? Is that
just a very, very good scoring chance?
Yeah, like wide open net, right? And you miss it or something.
Sure.
Yeah.
If you're on a breakaway, that's a high danger scoring chance.
Yeah. Zuccarello said, we're not looking for any excuse. They've got a good offense. They play some situations really well, but we got to take a look at Monday, clean up some stuff, and be ready to help Wally. He played a great game, and we gave them too many easy offense, easy chances, and hopefully it's a one-off for us because we haven't really played like that as of late. And then, as you mentioned, did you say, how long is X supposed to be? Is he game to game or?
We don't know. I'm not super the fact that he didn't play last night. I said this basically the same thing about Brodin. Remember when Brodin got hurt?
Yeah. And
I said, I'm not a doctor, but when you block a shot and you don't come back in the play, you don't come back and you're not in the series, you broke something, right? I mean, and my guess is Joel Eriksson. Now, he got hurt in game 6 in the 3rd period against Dallas, kind of awkwardly went into the boards. He did return. I think maybe that's just because adrenaline's a hell of a drug. The fact that a couple days later he's not playing game 1, I'm not a doctor, but I'm guessing he broke something, right?
Okay.
I mean, Joel Eriksson plays through everything.
Right, okay.
So when something's broken, that's just not going to be healed anytime soon. Now, because it's the Cup,
you eat some dirt and rub some Robitussin on it?
Can Joel Eriksson show up? Well, he's not going to be in game 2 because he didn't travel, but game 3 in Minnesota, could all of a sudden and you're going to have the 3 days off in between. Could he just say, hey, throwing some painkillers and I'm just going to give it a go? I don't know how, but
In other words,
my guess is they're two very significant injuries, but because it's a cup, you never know whether someone's going to show up or not.
In other words, what you're saying, the way I always phrase it, eat some dirt and rub some Robitussin on it and play, which is what apparently Ant wants to do.
Yes.
Ant had switch gears. We'll get back to the Wild, but the Wolves opened the semifinal best of 7 series against San Antonio tonight in Texas, and Ant, he hyperextended the knee. He'd already had some knee issues I think it's opposite knees too. I think
yes.
And apparently he wants to play. Did you send this to me? Was it a tweet from somebody that basically said he was a participant in practice today at shoot around, and he wants to play, but it's still in the medical staff's. They have to make a decision on that. And I guess if a guy wants to play, that's the hard call.
Well, it said he was cleared for basketball activities.
Right. So my guess is he will play.
He's going to go.
But, it's always a fight because every guy wants to play, right? 98% of them want to play. And if it's more detrimental to your law, in other words, if you think, well, if you give it another few days, it might be better, but then a few days could be 2 games. You could be behind 2 games to none. But I guess he's going to play because, well, it's not the cup. I don't know what we call it, the Naismith Trophy. So it's because it's for the trophy. Somebody else said, if the Wild goal, it says, would it do Wally good to give him a mental break for a game and watch? That's what I don't know. That's what I'm saying, because I don't know what it's like. I think it could go one of 2 ways. It could be he would then think, well, now the team doesn't have any confidence. I mean, they think it's all me. And then if he sits out and has to go back in, maybe he won't feel as confident. So it's the old, if you fall off the bike, you're supposed to get right back on and ride it again, right? Now, if they do that and he's shell shocked again, then obviously it's an easy decision after that. But yeah, and maybe it would help to sit out a game, like you're saying, give him a breather because he's never done this in his career.
Yeah,
but I'd play him.
He'd shown no signs of wearing down. Right. He had no moment in that Dallas series where he thought, maybe mentally he's starting to get fatigued here. I don't know how he reacted after last night's game, but I think as a coach, the message should be, Wally, we believe in you, we trust you, but this game we're going to be better in front of you.
Yeah.
Because we did not give you a fair shake last night.
Here's one. I was waiting for this. Why are we paying $17 million to be the missing man? Where has he been through the playoffs? Now that's not quite accurate. He was at one point during the opening series with Dallas, he was tied for the playoff lead. Yeah, in points.
You know who has the most points now?
Who?
Quinn Hughes has the most points in the playoffs.
How about that pass he made last night?
He's terrific.
That one where do I have the right game?
To Hartman.
They all run together. Yeah, where he
did a little spin move.
He did a spin move and he threw. I mean, that's like, you know what they say, a quarterback throws a dime? I mean, you can't make a more accurate pass than that. I mean, that was just spectacular. That's like textbook. That's like,
he's elite.
Yeah, that was really, really good. But I guess we're going to need a little bit more of that. Do you have any concerns about Kaprizov, or is that just one of those things where they pay closer attention to him and playoffs are a different game, or do you think he's fine and that the idea that I think people just expect for that money. And from what we've seen from him in the past, we expect more goals, I guess, from him. And I don't know if that's
offensively, he's going to get his in this series.
Okay.
He's going to have more space in this series than he did against Dallas. He had chances last night. He could have had a couple assists. He set up Hartman, and Hartman didn't finish. I'm mostly disappointed in the defensive lapse he had last night, and I think that'll be corrected in game 2. I just thought, we're talking about the psychology and where these guys are mentally. I do wonder after the Dallas series, that took a lot out of them, right? That was a hard series. You had the reason they won the series because they wanted it more than the Dallas Stars. They put more passion into it. Like, they gave a lot in that series, and they really didn't get a time to come down from that and then go, all right, we got to prepare for Colorado. It was just, you're just thrown right into the Colorado series. And Colorado's not a team that you can show up against and not be mentally, as John Hines said, focused on. They were lacking details. They were lacking focus. Kirill was one of those, at least defensively. I think some of those stuff gets cleaned up. And I do think as this series moves along, that Kaprizov, Zuccarello, Hartman line, they are going to score more in this series than they did against Dallas, because there's just more space.
Are you willing to say that Hughes is one of the top 5 hockey players of all time? That was uttered on these airwaves.
I'm not ready to go that far,
Pat
but
Micheletti.
he's a top 5 player in the league right now.
Here's a text message that came in that says, much like a baseball manager watching to see if their pitcher is chewing their gum confidently, a goalie coach is looking to see if the goalie is making saves confidently. The Wall of St. Paul, even when he made some saves, didn't look confident and seemed to be off in tracking. I'd go with him again, but a short leash. Did you notice that, Tenneby? Did it look like he was not chewing his gum confidently? That maybe some of those saves weren't as that he seemed to be off in tracking.
I mean, he wasn't on.
Right.
He wasn't on. He gave up 8 goals. I thought actually Game 5 of the Dallas series was the one where, even though the Wild won, I thought that was, he kind of gave up a soft goal early on, and he wasn't tracking. He has been swimming in his net a little bit more over the last couple games than earlier on in the playoff series. But you know, it's like the same playbook,
right?
Where whenever we lose, we got to go after the stars. We got to go after Kaprizov, and we have to go goalie. This is a team breakdown here.
Yeah.
You know, Jake Middleton should be getting as much criticism as anyone. I get it. He's not making the money that Kaprizov's making, and he's not playing the position that Volsted's playing. They had breakdowns. Jared Spurgeon wasn't great. Their forwards did not play well defensively. They did not come back the proper way. This is not we always like to try to find one person to blame. Right. This is not a one person to blame situation here.
Well, here's Paul from Royalton says, I had to check to see if Kaprizov was even playing in the game.
He had many chances last night.
Sounds like there's some negativity toward Kirill the Thrill. Here's the one that I like best, though. It says, Common, Tenna came right back to work today after the Tenna Fitzgerald last week and put a montage together, so I think Wallstead can play game 2, although Blakemore may have seriously been considered. So I got text messages, or not text messages, but emails to comment@KFAN.com raving about the montage that you played on would it have been Friday or Thursday?
This is another one of those things where, yeah, people rave about the montage just because it was overly positive highlights, right? Like it's Wolves winning a series, Wild winning a series, you put them together. Like that montage was not put together better than any other montage I've done. It's just because the highlights gave tingly feelings to the listeners. What
was the song?
I did Finally.
Oh.
Finally, it happened to me.
You didn't do Finally by T.G. Shepherd, the old country guy, did you? Because that's really a slow ballad, but it's a really good song. Lastly, before we go to break, this one, taking a cheap shot at Tennessee. I have a hard time believing the amateur psychological rants from a guy that fears pickle juice. And I know that does make a little bit of sense, because you do fear pickle juice.
Oh, yeah. Don't touch my burger.
If it gets even close to the bun on your burger, you freak out. So there you go. Let's take a break, Tennessee, top of the hour. Some 5-3-4 going to grill a Common with a couple 13, 14 questions. More Wild conversation. Wolves play as well. I'm assuming the Wolves are on this radio station tonight?
Of course.
They will be game 1.
That's the nice thing is the Wild and Wolves are basically going every other night, so we're not going to have any conflicts.
Wolves versus the Spurs. We'll talk about that as well. Tennessee, you got a tease for us, though?
Yeah, there is an ant in San Antonio.